I'm Joe Legee. I'm the Public Relations Director for Walker County Government, and extremely excited to see so many familiar faces here today. And I know that many of you have waited many years for us to get to this point where we can make this announcement and actually move forward with this project. Before we get to that point, though, I do want to recognize the elected officials that are in the room, many of whom have coordinated with us either this year, last year, or over the last 15 years to get this project going. So if you wouldn't mind, if you're an elected official, please stand so we can recognize you. Thank you. All right, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce Shannon Whitfield. He is the chairman of the Walker County Board of Commissioners, to come forward to fill you in on why we are all here today.
Well, great. Appreciate all of y'all being here. I know this has been something that's been a lot of work and effort put in by many. You know, it's like most things in life, you don't do anything by yourself. It takes a team of people, it takes a lot of collaboration. So today we're here to announce that the Appalachian Regional Commission has awarded Walker County and the city of Chickamauga an ARC grant in the amount of $434,141 for the Battlefield Connector Trail that will connect the Chickamauga Battlefield to the city of Chickamauga. And so this is a great announcement to be able to receive over $400,000 in grant funding. This project is approaching about a $900,000 total project. And so with this, we've had a lot of great partners in this project to make this happen. But also this is going to make a tremendous impact on the quality of life for our community, for our residents to be able to use this. You know, now a lot of people that go to the Chickamauga Battlefield from the city of Chickamauga or the surrounding communities have to get in their cars because there's a major highway that's not safe to cross necessarily on a bicycle or by foot. And so this will give people a solid surface, 10-foot wide pathway to go from the city of Chickamauga to the battlefield without having to get in a vehicle. And so it's also going the reverse way. If you're coming into the battlefield, if you're a tourist, it's going to give you an opportunity to walk or hike or bike to be able to go from the Chickamauga Battlefield into downtown Chickamauga without having to get back in your car either. And so it's documented pretty well. There's about 1 million visitors a year that come to the Chickamauga Battlefield to visit this great asset that we have in our community. And so having this Battlefield Connector Trail is a great thing for our community and for tourists coming in to our marketplace to share this natural beauty with us. Again, talking about the partners, it would not be possible to do this without many partners, and I hope I don't forget any. But Mike Cameron here, our state representative, our House of Representatives, has been essential in helping push this through. We very much appreciate your support and help. The entire Board of Commissioners has been very instrumental in this as well as the entire City Council of Chickamauga has worked on this for many years trying to get this pulled together. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been very important to this project, and she has been pushing to help us get this funding. This project was also signed off on by Governor Kemp as well. He was very supportive of this project and making this happen. The Lyndhurst Foundation has been involved and engaged with us even on the phase 1 of the start of this trail back several years ago. Also, the Jewel Foundation is supportive and providing some funding and support for us. The Public Trust with Noel Durant and his team have been phenomenal, and don't know if we would have been able to do this without the Trust for Public Land coming in and partner with us. And Noel, you've been phenomenal and pulling this all together, making this happen. I don't think we would be to this day without your knowledge and support and your collaboration and the partners that you work with. So thank you very much for that. Our Chamber of Commerce has been very supportive. We thank them for supporting this and letters of support. Also, our Joint Development Authority has been supportive and wrote letters of support. The Northwest Georgia Regional Commission, Ethan's here with us today representing them. Y'all have done a lot of lifting for us on this and working through the application process, and we appreciate y'all very much for standing in the gap with us and helping us with some of the technical aspects of the grant application, which is a real specialty that the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission has and supports our 15 counties in the Northwest Georgia, so thank you for that. And so there have been, as you can see, a lot of collaboration, and that's what makes things like this come together and happen and be very positive projects to come to communities. And so thank you all for being here, and I'll turn it back over to Joe Legee to introduce Noel.
Well, as Chairman Whitfield said, we definitely would not be where we are today without the support and the guidance of Noel Durant, who is actually the Tennessee State Director for the Trust for Public Land, but he received special approval to work with us here in Northwest Georgia because of the regional impact of this project. Noel, please join us.
Thank you, Joe. Well, we are so grateful to be in partnership with Walker County and the City of Chickamauga on this project. I'm Noel Durant, Tennessee State Director for Trust for Public Land, and our mission is to protect land and create parks for people, ensuring healthy, livable communities for generations to come. And when we think of our community, when we think of the broader region, Northwest Georgia is a vital component of our larger tri-state community. And we are very grateful to have a long-standing history of partnering with local land managers, state agencies, federal land managers to protect land that is critical to the quality of life and the well-being of our residents. And our work to date over the last 30 years that we have worked in this region include projects like securing public access for the Tennessee River Walk, designing, developing, creating the South Chickamauga Creek Greenway. Those two trail corridors create an amazing community amenity, and we want to expand the quality of life benefits that regional trails can provide. And we're so grateful that we can be a partner alongside Walker County and the City of Chickamauga to create the next great regional trail connection to one of our region's most treasured natural and cultural assets with the Chickamauga National Military Park. And we are also incredibly grateful for the philanthropic relationships that see the benefit of improving the quality of life through trail connections. We would not be here today without the generous and long-standing support of the Lyndhurst Foundation and the Riverview Foundation, both of whom are supporting Trust for Public Land in this endeavor, as well have been supporting Trust for Public Land since we started working in Tennessee. And I want to make a special note that Riverview Foundation and Lyndhurst have been involved in lockstep across the Battlefield Connector project, from supporting the City of Chickamauga for the portions that are within the city limits, as well as supporting the section, the northern terminus on Wilder Road underneath Highway 27. Again, their philanthropic leadership is invaluable, and BRUZ, as a sage advisor of Trust for Public Land, when we were looking at how we can expand the benefits of trails, BRUZ mentioned, well, there's a trail project in Northwest Georgia that might be a good fit for Trust for Public Land's expertise. And BRUZ was a critical catalyst for us to start building a relationship with the wonderful team at Walker County and the City of Chickamauga to pursue this opportunity. I, as a Walker County resident, am grateful for the opportunity to be working alongside fellow Northwest Georgia residents to create trails where people live so that people can enjoy the benefits of getting outside in their daily lives, get to know their neighbors, get to know what makes this place special. And the more people that know and love Northwest Georgia, the more people that know and love their neighbors, the stronger our community will be. So I'm so grateful to be working alongside this group, and we'll hand it back over to Joe to advance our program.
Well, there's probably nobody in this room that's more excited to see this day actually come forward than John Culpepper. Some 15 years ago, John served as the city manager for Chickamauga and actually started working on this idea back then. John, if you wouldn't mind, please come forward.
I didn't know this day was going to come in my lifetime. I'm 78 years old, and all I got to say is, wow. A heartfelt thanks to all who have pulled this project together and getting us to this point. I still believe it's going to be great for the community. You've heard all the health aspects, the recreation, transportation, so on and so forth. But let's talk about the history of this corridor down through here on which this trail is going to lie. Now, Jim, don't grade me, okay, because I learned a lot of this from you, okay? First of all, I started putting this project together before I retired from the city in September 13. Public hearings were held, plans and specs were completed, environmental reviews were completed. I remember we had to check the trail and see if we had any in-demand bats on the trail. I said, I'll take care of anything from Indiana that's on that trail, but we didn't have any. But I never could get it to construction. Funding issues. The original trail was going to parallel the railroad track. That brought on some issues. But I never, myself and the city could not get it to the construction phase. I surely thank the city of Chickamauga, and I thank Walker County for not letting this project just die. Thank you very much. History of this corridor. I've lost the old Dry Valley Road. Read this corridor was in this corridor, which started in McLemore's Cove and terminated in Chattanooga. So it was transportation for the citizens of Walker County, the farmers of Walker County, to access the Chattanooga market, access the railroad system, access the river transportation system. So it's very important to this side of Walker County as far as getting their products, like I say, to market and buying their everyday supplies to live and farm and so on and so on. This part of the trail basically became known as the Crawfish Springs Road. Crawfish Springs was the name of the community which is now Chickamauga, Georgia. It consisted of the Gordon Plantation, and I think they had a post office, and that's it. There was no city of Chickamauga. City of Chickamauga was not incorporated until September 1891. Let's move on forward to August 1863. Chattanooga is the transportation hub for the South, for the Confederacy. It was a natural great way through the Appalachian Mountains to the deep South, where most of Confederate wartime manufacturing had been located. Food supplies were located. That was all flowing through Chattanooga. It was very important for the Federals to gain control of Chattanooga. Matter of fact, I believe President Lincoln said, "Who controls Chattanooga will win the war." So in late August 1863, Federal Commander William Starks Rosecrans started his campaign to capture Chattanooga, which was occupied by the Confederate Army under the command of Braxton Bragg. He did not want to make a direct attack on that well-fortified city. He had to contend with the Tennessee River. He started demonstrations northeast of the town to make Bragg think that his attack was going to come from the northeast. General Burnside and Knoxville were under Union control, so that would be logical. In the meantime, he sent 3 corps south with Crittenden's 21st Corps to cross the Tennessee River, what is now South Vicksburg, Tennessee, and Shellman. Thomas's 14th Corps to cross the Tennessee River at Bridgeport, proceed across the Sand Mountain Range, the Lookout Mountain Range, drop into McLemore's Cove, and threaten Bragg's line of communication, which was the Western Atlantic Railroad from Atlanta. General McCook's 20th Corps crossed the Tennessee River at Stevenson, Alabama, Sand Mountain Range, Lookout Mountain Range, and made it to a little community called Alpine, Georgia, which is southwest of Somerville. This caused Bragg have to abandon Chattanooga. He left stragglers in Chattanooga, and when the 21st Corps came into Chattanooga without firing a shot, that Bragg was in full retreat to Rome. He wasn't. He moved his army to Lafayette, Georgia. Was waiting on massive reinforcements from Lee's Army of Northern Virginia, from East Tennessee, from Mississippi, unbeknownst to General Rosecrans, who thought he was still in full retreat. General Rosecrans established his headquarters at the Widow Gordon's mansion on September 15th in Crawfish Springs, Georgia, now the Gordon Lee Mansion, when he realized what Bragg was up to. So he issued orders for these two corps, the 20th and 14th, to start advancing north and concentrate on Lee and Gordon Mill. In the meantime, Bragg started moving his forces north on the east side of Chickamauga Creek to get between Rosecrans and Chattanooga and push him back into these mountains. The lead elements of Thomas's Corps, 14th Corps, arrived in Crawfish Springs, Georgia, late afternoon. On the 18th, he was given orders to proceed north. Now, at the intersection of Osborne School Road and 5 Points Road, there's a national park marker there, the Night March of Thomas. Plus, there's a Chickamauga Campaign Trail marker there that explains more in detail of that march. On the morning of the 19th, Thomas's Corps began to run into Confederate forces who had been crossing the creek all night long on the fords and bridges and so on, over around Reeves Bridge, and the Great Battle of Chickamauga was on. So it's hard to imagine what happened here in these 2 or 3 days. With the infantry marching, they say dust was up to the top of their brogans. It was hot. It was dry. We were in a drought. You had artillery, all their mules. You had supply wagons. You had cavalry. Just imagine what was happening here. And you could tell where the army was by the dust cloud that they were raising, okay? So the fight was on. One unique thing that fascinates me about this is the communication aspect of this. The Federal Army had a telegraph system that ran from the Gordon, really ran on south of Chickamauga, what they call the Alley House, which is there in my house. And they were sitting there at the Gordon Lee Mansion communicating with Washington, D.C. And of course, that telegraph system was following this route right here. So General Rosecrans and his staff moved to the battlefield headquarters, which was the Widow Glenn's cabin, which was located now at Wilder's Tower. And the main field hospitals for the Federal Army was established at the now Gordon Lee Mansion. So you had ambulance wagons bringing the wounded, bringing the dying to these field hospitals. I tell people, I said, there was no city of Chickamauga. What is downtown Chickamauga now was convalescent tents. Crawfish Springs was a blessing as far as water. They just had to shuffle water from Crawfish Springs back to the battlefield because the Confederates had them cut off from Chickamauga Creek, the major water supply. When Longstreet made his breakthrough on the 20th and rolled up the right wing of the Federal Army, then this was used to try to evacuate the wounded to Chattanooga. Joe Wheeler's Confederate cavalry crossed Chickamauga Creek at Lee and Gordon Mill, captured the hospital complex. Says he captured over 1,000 wounded soldiers and 200 wagon loads of supplies of medical supplies. So basically, instead of Bragg pushing them into the mountains, he pushed them into Chattanooga, okay? Which led to the Battle of Missionary Ridge, which led to the Battle of Lookout Mountain, which was a Federal victory, and it opened that gateway for Sherman's Georgia campaign. Now, folks, I'm going to tell you, the war didn't end at Gettysburg. It ended when Sherman destroyed all the manufacturing and got to the sea. That's what ended that war. Okay. Fast forward a little bit. What is now Chickamauga National Military Park was under the control of the U.S. Army. There was no National Park Service. It became the largest training grounds for the Spanish-American War, Camp Thomas. Sanitation conditions were terrible. A typhoid epidemic broke out among the troops. Overwhelmed what hospital facilities the camp had set up right at Wilder's Tower. A lady by the name of Miss Lettner from Chicago bought the old Park Hotel in Chickamauga and gave it to the Army. And you see pictures of it now. It says the Lettner Hotel for the boys of Camp Thomas. So then again, this transportation corridor was used to bring the sick to Chickamauga to be treated for typhoid. There's more men died of disease at Camp Thomas than were killed in the Spanish-American War. So let's not forget the history of this, and I hope we can put some interpretive signs up along the trail, alluding to some of this stuff, the telegraph system, the Camp Thomas and the sickness, and so on and so forth. And once again, a heartfelt thanks to all involved for bringing this to fruition. My hat's off to you, and God bless all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. There's a lot of history that's on this trail, and the Chickamauga Battlefield Connector Trail project actually did receive a letter of support from the Chickamauga and Chattanooga National Military Park, and we're pleased to have the park historian Jim Ogden joining us today representing the park.
Well, I'm glad to be here today, and glad to know that the next phase of this project will continue on, and I came with a little bit of a prop. Because John well related the history that passes along this corridor of the Dry Valley Road. But he might have added one other thing. Yes, Crawfish Springs is very important, but the majority of Union troops who are going to fight in the Battle of Chickamauga march up this corridor to then get engaged in the fight. And almost every one of those units had an opportunity to stop at Crawfish Springs and one last time fill their canteen with a little bit of Crawfish Springs water. And for some of those men, this battle is 3 days long on 1 quart of water. For others, it's only 2 or 1 day, depending upon when they were engaged and maybe when they became a casualty in that battle. Some of them then hauled back down this route, as John related. One of the things that we are challenged with at the National Military Park is often relating some of this larger story. Even some folks who come in at the information desk and manifest some knowledge of the Civil War story are kind of amazed about how the two armies first came to clash in the valley of West Chickamauga Creek, something already nicknamed the River of Death at the time. Most people have the general conception that the Union Army is coming down from the north and the Confederate Army is either being pushed south or coming up from the south. So how can Chickamauga be before Chattanooga if Chickamauga is to the south? And so telling this larger story and recognizing the larger campaign that the two armies don't just magically appear suddenly to become engaged just a little bit to the north of us here. And one thing that this trail will allow us to do is to provide folks another option to potentially get some sense of the scale. One of the most important marches, while the majority, as John and I have said, of the Union Army is going to pass up this corridor headed towards the battle, one of the most important marches was George Thomas's 14th Corps' night march on the night of September the 18th in the early morning hours of the 19th. And it was one of those hikes that you never want to take. You'd walk 10 or 15 yards and stand for 30 minutes, maybe march half a mile and then stand for another 15 or 20 minutes. Took all night long through that difficult dust. And while today the road network and the Chickamauga Connector Trail won't really allow us to follow exactly the historic alignment of the Dry Valley Road, something that really kind of disappears in the early post-Civil War period when the railroad comes in and the road largely gets supplanted. It will certainly give you the opportunity to get some sense of scale. I don't suggest wearing a pair of brogans to make the hike, and don't suggest doing it at night. But you know, get dropped off at Crawfish Springs sometime, and then hike north to the battlefield, and hopefully the vision of interpretation along the route will come to pass as well, maybe digitally if not physically, to hear some of the stories of those who suffered along this route. The National Military Park story has always been a larger one. In the early years of the National Military Park, it included an approach road system. And some of you all may know of that, because along some of Walker County's roads, still today, are remnants of that old approach road system. Once more than 100 miles of road, the major routes leading to the battlefield. And so trying to tell this larger story, and of course, the Chickamauga Campaign Trail that John referenced and did so much to get on the ground. You know, this can be another step to making this even more real, and maybe someday, John, be able to hear that those people outside that small South Central Pennsylvania college town who are interested so much in that battle are saying they want to be the Chickamauga of the East. So. But it's just another step in not only a community asset, but also something for those of our nation who come here to learn a little bit of our nation's history on the ground where it happens. So great to hear about the next phase, and we'll look to get it in place. So thank you.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene also wrote a letter in support of the project. She was obviously unable to join us today because she's in Washington, but she did send us a congratulatory message.
Hey everyone, I am in DC today fighting for y'all, and I hate that I can't be with y'all to celebrate the grant award from the Appalachian Regional Commission and the announcement of the Chickamauga Battlefield Connector Trail construction soon to be underway. I wanted to send my congratulations on a project that has the potential to positively grow the economy of Northwest Georgia. The trail holds immense promise for bolstering tourism and boosting local businesses by providing a direct link to the Chickamauga and Chattanooga National Military Park in downtown Chickamauga. Over 1 million people visited Chickamauga and Chattanooga National Military Park last year, and this trail will help connect tourists directly to all the wonderful locally owned businesses of Chickamauga. Recreational tourism drives economic growth, creates job opportunities, and supports local businesses. And the Battlefield Connector Trail has the potential to increase spending on accommodations, dining, retail, and other tourism-related services. Again, I want to congratulate Walker County and the City of Chickamauga on this project and look forward to seeing its completion. I'll be back home and I'll see you soon.
So as you've heard, in terms of tourism, this project melds the two biggest factors that drive that industry here in Walker County, and that's outdoor recreation and Civil War history. So I'd like to invite Jennifer Morrison, who's the president of the Walker County Chamber of Commerce, to come forward to talk a little bit more about how this project can actually boost the local economy.
Well, I was just going to say everything she already said. I was just going to say all that. She said it quite well. I am super excited about the Connector Trail because that's what I see. When I heard about it and Eric was telling me about it, like all I could think about is all the people that are already coming to the battlefield that now they're going to be able to come into Chickamauga and spend those dollars, and we're going to be able to take those dollars and invest it back into our communities. And that's so important for our area. Let alone just the region and being a part of all of that. This isn't just affecting us, it's going to be affecting our region. And what happens for our region in tourism and people coming here from other areas is just gonna boost what we are already trying to do here in Walker County. So from the chamber standpoint, I can't wait to see all those people coming down the trail and coming into Chickamauga and seeing our shops and eating at the restaurants and staying in our short-term rentals and seeing what all we have to offer. So it's very exciting to know that this is just going to allow more tourists that are already coming to the battlefield. They're now going to be able to make it safely into Chickamauga, and it's just going to be easier access. So again, thank you to Marjorie for saying all the wonderful things that I'm like, I was going to say that, but she said it so great. So I'm not going to repeat it. I am super excited though that Chickamauga is going to be the center of that because it's such a great little town. They're doing so many great things already to bring in people from outside the community to see what's going on here. Their downtown development is just leaps and bounds going above and beyond with all the different events that they have going on. So now people from outside of our region are going to be able to come and experience those things with us in Chickamauga. So I'm excited. Thanks, Joe.
Once again, we do thank you all for sharing in this important announcement with us today for the community. Construction on the trail actually could start as early as later this summer, with the project potentially wrapping up by the end of the year, so that we're hopeful everyone will be able to come out again and support the project really soon. Thank you again for coming today.